multilaterals like the IMF, World Bank and ADB, you can restructure that. You have to continue to pay because they have given you at very low interest rate. Secondly, bilaterals, the countries, China, India, Japan, Paris Club. We are talking to them of a restructuring. Thirdly, the bondholders, ISB holders, Sri Lanka development bondholders, they're private creditors. So that we are looking at restructuring. Then comes local creditors. Who are the local creditors? Central bank, the bonds, treasury bills which have been issued, treasury bills which have been subscribed by our banks, treasury bills which have been subscribed by the EPF, and treasury bills of the bondholders. Debt sustainability, the foreigners have agreed to give us per year a 2.6% of a GDP reduction. They asked Sri Lanka also to contribute. Sri Lanka's contribution is 1.6% of the GDP. Out of that 1.6% of GDP, government as through the central bank had taken 1.1%. The government which is taking the response, central bank. The balance 0.5% we had to find from somewhere. What were those somewheres? 3 specific groups. Who were that 3 specific groups? One is EPF, ETF and the pension funds. Second one is bondholders. Third one is banks. Opposition leaders hold 9% of the bonds are held by the private bondholders. That's not correct. 0.9. So that they are paying last year 15% of was the corporate tax. That has been increased to 30%. But EPF, 14% of taxes they are paying that are not being increased. So in view of that, with all these things, we must accept the fact that debt restructuring is not going to be popular. In the parliament also, there was some of the argument was that the EPF is now taking 13.5% of it, and up to 2038, if you calculate that and look at 9%, this much of a loss is there. It's totally wrong on bad assumption. The assumption is this 13.5% should be there till 2038. That is on the basis that last year's treasury bill rate of 30%, which has already come down to 16%, which will come down to even lower. Last year, the inflation was 66% for a year. It went up to 80, but average of the year for 66%. That will come down to single figure to be there forever. Actual return, what they have got is not 13.5%, 10.6%, that including the administrative cost. So therefore, that calculation is totally based on wrong assumption. On the basis of a totally different scenario of last year's return, which is not going to be there even for the next year. So in fact, if the prices and the percentages come down, the return could be very low on the next cycle of these bonds and the treasury. If that is the case, a guarantee of 9.1% probably may serve as a base of protection for the EPF holders.